This is the continuation of basically the Franky versus Fukuro fight, and focuses very heavily on the action part of it.
One Piece, Chapter 405, Power.
Well, apparently it wasn't going to be as easy as we thought to take out Mr. Yo and Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and action-filled and heavy tale of One Piece. Now, our last chapter primarily focused on and ended with, of course, the fight that's been raging on between Fukuro and Franky, as well as, of course, Chopper having locked Kumadori in the refrigerator. And that's how the chapter left off, with Franky, of course, being powered up by his cola and just basically just coming right at and right through, Mr. Fukuro and just jacking his ass up, So that's how things left off, and that's right where things pick up. Franky has actually just beaten him silly through the wall and out onto the actual ledge, surrounding, of course, the terrace, I guess you would call it, or what have you, in the Tower of Law that they're at. Now, keep in mind too that from Kaku's kick that he wound up doing, his Tempest kick as a giraffe, he wound up actually slicing on an angle all the way through the Tower of Law. So the Tower of Law is actually sitting, just kind of hanging there right now, slowly slipping off of its base. At least that's what I believe to be happening. So. As this battle starts raging on or whatever, and I was hoping at first that, okay, that this Fukuro would be done, and I think I even said in the last one, these guys seem kind of on the weak side. But certainly after this chapter, you can see that they've got a lot of resiliency, and if that's even a word. And they're bringing it. They're bringing everything they have. So as we get Mr. Fukuro, he winds up going and getting up, and him and Franky, Franky's basically just wants to take him out with this ultimate move. So he goes and does this thing where he pops off his shirt and he's like, and he like dislocates his shoulders out of place, and there's these like cannon holes that appear. So he talks about how he's gonna shoot and fire this heavy cannon at him. And Fukuro's like, no cannon could get me in this net, because obviously he has the techniques of Mookn Walk and shave and paper and things like that, so any type of projectile he's going to dodge or move out of the way, right? And he goes and Franky says, oh yeah, you're not going to dodge this one. This is like a tracking cannonball, like a heat-seeking missile. And, Chopper, who's just amazed by everything, and Chopper's one of those guys that you could tell all kinds of bullshit stories to, because, like, Usopp does it all the time, and he's like, oh, really? He's that guy that you could just be like, yeah, and one time I was president of the United States for a week, and he'd be like, really, you were? And he believes shit, So he's funny, he's believing it, he's like, oh, man, a tracking cannon, I've never even seen anything like that. So actually, all it is it's Franky just chasing his ass around, tracking him, right? Anyway, he winds up going and eventually kind of turning and getting the drop on Franky. This is after he goes and he actually keeps pulling this disappearing act and hiding, and you can't find me, I'm a master of the 6 powers. He keeps just insisting he's a master of the 6 powers, right? And anybody who's got to tell you they're a master of something is a master of all is a master of none, in my opinion, you know what I mean? So, trust me, anything that I can or can't do, you won't know about until after it's already been done to you, I ain't gonna tell you about it, I'm so good at this, But anyways, so as he goes and kind of like disappears and tries to dodge and whatnot, and Franky can't find him and everything, and Chopper winds up finding him and just, boom, just jacks him up, What it winds up leading into is him going and doing this iron ball technique where he looks like he spins and then goes and hits Franky, and he winds up knocking Franky and himself. They both go flying, they wind up going through the, concrete railing part there of this, it almost looks like a castle, parapet tower. And they go flying over the edge, and then go and land in the water down below. Now, the water down below, the problem with that is it's flowing into this magical waterfall that just goes off into nothingness, right? Which really still hasn't been explained, and I believe a couple people told me in comments, in previous videos that it never gets explained. It's just this waterfall to nowhere. Anyway, so as they're down in here, and of course Chopper's trying to come after and help, and he's trying to get down the tower and get along the edge and see if he can help Franky, but he can't get, he's like, man, if he gets caught by the current, obviously he's a devil fruit user, he can't get in there to save him, So, and Franky, I don't know how much water messes with him, considering he's part cyborg, obviously, moving parts and, electronics and things like that. So the rest of the battle of the chapter winds up raging on between these two, actually in the water. And it's really cool to see depicted because you got a picture like as he's going down and getting closer to the waterfall, and they're trying to go and trade blows and move. And Franky's doing everything he can just to not drown and to not get thrown over the falls, you know. At one point, too, Mr. Kumadori winds up going and coming out, and he's all like fat and round. And apparently he ate himself out of the refrigerator. Maybe he just kept eating until he was big enough that he just busted it open, or maybe he ate the refrigerator. I don't know what his deal is, man. But the hair beast over here with the octopus hair, it looks like is not done for, and certainly we just kind of left with him gonna confront Chopper again, you know. But as the chapter winds up progressing and going on, there's a number of different cool things, and again, Franky's trying to pull everything you know that he can out of any type of trick he can do, whatever it may be, you know. And a couple of times, you know, like one time he's like swimming for shore, and he's actually, you know, almost getting there. And then all of a sudden, Mr. Fukuro, you know, winds up moonwalking over to him, and then, you know, hitting him with his iron punch or whatever the hell that thing is. His solid iron, I think he calls it. Solid beast, you know, hits him. So Franky's getting nailed. Franky winds up going and trying to hit him with this, you know, he tries weapons left, and when he does that, he winds up using slimy paper, you know, as well. I guess they have these modified versions, some of them of these 6 powers, but Fukuro winds up doing this slimy paper and is able to just kind of dodge and turn his body and just sort of bend and whatnot at will to obviously dodge the fire that's coming at him, the cannon fire or bullets, you know. And the chapter winds up coming towards a close where Franky basically goes, and as he's going to go over the falls, you know, he goes and he's just like strong right, and he's got that, you know, that Inspector Gadget right hand where it's just like on a, you know, like on a, not on a chain, but yeah, it is actually like a chain. And it flies out, you know, and then goes and grabs onto Fukuro's leg, right? So as Fukuro, because Fukuro the whole time is dancing around using his moonwalk technique, right? And he can do that shit. Well, he winds up, he's like freaking out. He's like, I can't support 2 people with a one-legged moonwalk technique, you know? And Franky's like, yeah, so basically this is what's going to happen. We're either both going to go over the falls and die, or you're going to take me back to shore. Or you can try fighting me right now, and we'll see how that one turns out with only one leg and while I'm holding on to you and you're trying to support yourself in midair, you know? So he winds up saying, okay, that's fine, you know, but as soon as we get back here, this is what he winds up saying. He goes, but as soon as we get back to land, here we go. It's more than a belief. I just thought of a way to finish you off in one blow. And Franky's like, oh, really? Well, so did I, Fukuro, baby. And I just love that shit, man. That's how it all ended, though, was him going and basically saying, you know, it's impossible for a one-legged moonwalk to support 2 people, blah, 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 you know. All right, you're okay. I'll take you back to the dry land. But the moment we land, I'm going to end this, you know. Yeah, and then Franky's like, sure, go on, believe in that. The fight itself, I think, is pretty cool, and how everything is moving throughout different areas, you know. We saw different team-ups and matchups, obviously, back in Alabasta when, you know, when Usopp and Chopper were facing off against, you know, was it Miss Merry Christmas, I think, and Mr. 4, the cleanup hitter. And, you know, but it was all in one location that it took place, and although it was a very cool battle, I think this is really kind of evolved. And now we have these battles, and they're crossing over into each other, and the locations are changing as they're going through ceilings and walls and everything else. And I really think it's a neat dynamic because, again, it makes you feel like there's just this huge sort of action scene going on all around you. And certainly you're getting to see with this battle bleeding over into this battle. This character comes back. This one's attacking this one. This one changes partners with this one because this guy's knocked out or incapacitated or whatever. And I think that's really a masterful way of doing it, and it's making me just want to just turn the page and read the next chapter. So, and it's keeping them fun and interesting as opposed to, okay, we're going to go back and forth with some moves for a couple chapters. Then, you know, then the Straw Hat's going to wind up getting the advantage somehow or another and figure out the weakness. And it's not that same formula, and that's what I really appreciate. So anyway, that's how the chapter ends off over here. And my chapter question for you, brothers and sisters, is what are your thoughts thus far, and I guess even through the end of this arc, which, I don't know, 20, 30 more chapters maybe. What are your thoughts on the battles, and especially the ones here in the Tower of Law, and how they're being portrayed, basically? And what I just explained, what are your thoughts on how the battles are being shown and depicted in the manga, obviously in this particular arc and in this particular part of this arc? So leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you have not done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
I'd sure like her to be my secretary.
Hey, could you follow me on my other channels on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram too? It'd be very nice.